Hello everyone, this is Gage from Smith, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys another Third Age Reforged online multiplayer battle replay. And this one is a 3 versus 3 replay of the campaign RP, whichever term you prefer, that is currently going on the official Reforged Discord server. Link to that will, as always, be down in the description below. And this one was actually a defense by the Carlin forces, because the forces of Linden were actually attacking one of the Carlin provinces. I actually was able to take part in this battle as a sub-player for Carlin. You can see I've got all my Carlin troops right here, along with Von Mountain, who sent me the replay because I forgot to save it, and Bobo17k way down there also playing as Carlin, of course. So without any further ado, we can go ahead and go into their compositions. But first, actually, I forgot to mention that the only rule, I believe, was that Linden had to be the aggressors here, and that there was no cavalry allowed for either team. And I believe that just about does it for the rules. Also, I should also probably say that I have not played Reforged in probably like 3 or 4 months. I took a bit of a break here, so you're going to see me making quite a bit of mistakes here, but that's all well and good because that just kind of happens when you take breaks from things, of course. Also, I actually was kind of happy that there was no cavalry rule, because it actually kind of was an easy way for me to get back into Reforged without having to like focus so much on micro or anything like that. So my mistakes were a little bit less bad because of the fact that enemy cavalry couldn't capitalize on my mistakes that I made in this battle. But enough about that, we'll go straight into the army compositions right away. So my Carlin army is very much focused on skirmishers, and that is because Linden, of course, has very little armor. So I'm going to be trying to skirmish down some elves here with my Carlin forces. I've got 2 units of the very cheap Greenwatch Garrison archers. They're very cheap and not very good overall. However, they have a ton of men in each unit, so they will be able to get a lot of damage in just because of how many men they have. I've got 2 units here of the Miniscurthlan sharpshooters, because there are some dwarves helping out the elves of Linden here in this battle. AP crossbows are going to do a lot of work here. I've also got 2 units of the Gwathlo trackers. Again, not really great archers. They can hide everywhere, which is kind of nice, but they're also very low in armor and not great damage. But again, arrows pretty much of any kind will generally do very well against Linden, so that is why I decided to bring a ton of skirmishers. Also got over here 1 unit of the Minotaur Roman Guardians, some more crossbows, some Dunedain Rangers, as well as, oh, a little bit laggy there, sorry, a catapult, and 2 units of the Miniscurthlan Archers, slightly more armored with a little bit more damage, but they are, of course, more expensive because of that. And for my infantry, I have got 1 unit of the Wardens of Tirn Gorthad Pikemen in here, very good, because they'll be able to provide some morale support to my Carlin troops. I've got 3 units of the Greenwatch Garrison Spearmen, very cheap militia tier spear unit, just to kind of protect the pikes. I've also got 2 units of the cheaper pikemen, that are the Greenwatch Garrison Footmen. And I believe I also have a unit of the upgraded Dunedain Captains somewhere in here in this big, thick line. Thankfully, the enemy did not bring any artillery, because this would, of course, been a very, very good target here. You can see I've also got a catapult up here on this hill as well. And again, I should mention that Carlin here, all 3 of us played very defensively here, and that is because, of course, Linden is technically the aggressors in this particular battle. So that'll pretty much do it for my army comp. We can see the next Carlin player, who is going to be, of course, Von Mountain here. He's got 3 units of civilians up here in the front here, maybe just to kind of tank some skirmish fire, and their AP should do good against the dwarves, who I believe are directly opposing Von Mountain, although they're way, way back there, so it might take a minute. He's got a couple units of Greenwatch Garrison archers of his own here, not in loose formation quite yet because of how far away the enemy is. He's also got his own crossbows here. He's got 2 units, I believe, of the Miniscurthlan sharpshooters, maybe 1 on either flank. Yep, I believe he also has, yes, 1 more unit of Minotaur Roman Guardians. For his front line, he's got a ton of Miniscurthlan swordsmen. I'm honestly, they should do okay-ish against some of the Linden infantry, but against the dwarves, they're going to suffer quite grievous losses in pretty much every situation, so they might have a bit of a tough time. However, he does have some Dunedain Rangers here to back them up, as well as a number of pikeman units. He's got some Greenwatch Garrison Footmen, some more over there, and yeah, it looks like he's got 3 units of Greenwatch Garrison Footmen. He also has 2 units of Ernvorn Axemen, as well as a Trebuchet here, so some long-range artillery. Over here we've got the final Carlin player, who's of course Bobo17k, who also has his own Trebuchet. He's got some Minotaur Roman Guardians, 2 units of Miniscurthlan Archers, some Hearthguard of Amansul, of course very good multiple HP Bodyguard Archer unit that also has spears and shields. He's also got his own Greenwich Garrison Archers. He's got some civilians up there as well. I believe he only actually has 2 units of the Greenwich Garrison Pikemen here. He's also got some Mercenary Guildsmen, as well as a number of these Miniscurthlan Swordmen here. It looks like 3 units maybe-ish. He's also got some Miniscurthlan Spears, some Ernborn Axemen, and his own Gwathlo Trackers. And I believe he might have some Dunedain Rangers around here somewhere. But that pretty much does it for the army compositions of the defenders. So we can now go over here to look at the attacking armies. Alright, so for the first of the attacking Linden armies, we've got Engsfitz here. He's got 2 units of Forlondon archers, I believe only 1 unit of Harlandon guards, so some cheaper archers, and also some slightly better ones with shields, of course. He's got 4 total units of Harlandon infantry here, 2 right here, 1 back there, and another one a little bit further back right there. He's got 2 units of the Forlondon marines. The javelins, of course, are going to do very good against the Carlin pipelines, as well as just the more heavily armored Carlin infantry. He's got 2 units of Forlondon pikemen, and these guys are definitely going to be targeted by the Carlin skirmishers, of which there are many, of course. However, as long as they're protected by the Harlandon infantry or maybe the Noldorn guard back there, they should be okay for the most part. He's got 2 more units of javelins here, so lots of javelins from Linden. Not really anything you would not expect, really, when facing up against Linden. He's got 2 units of the heavily armored Noldorn guard back here, as well as a unit of the Noldorn blade masters, who are, of course, very, very scary 2-handed multiple HP units. Sorry. And I believe he also has a unit of the Rangers somewhere hidden around here as well. The next army is going to be the Mercenary Company that is currently allied with the attacking Linden armies. This is going to be commanded by Eclipse 2500 of the Dark Cloud. He's got 2 units here of the AP Axe Guard of Erebor Shock Infantry, a couple units of the Ironfoot Crossbows, who are going to be very, very difficult to take down for Carlin, and they're also going to be able to dish out a lot of damage with their AP missiles, of course. He's also got, looks like, 3 units of Ironfoot Pikes, as well as a number of Erebor Legionaries and Ironfoot Warriors here in front of the Pikes. He's got the Sons of Durin here, multiple HP Shock Infantry unit for his General's Bodyguard. He's got the fearsome Blacklock Engineers, definitely going to be a target for Carlin, as well as 2 units of Ironfoot Axe Throwers. The final Linden army is going to be over here. It's going to be commanded by Lister, who's going to be bringing, looks like maybe 2 units of Mithlond Marines, 1 unit of Forlondon Marines, his own Noldorn Blade Masters, some Harlandon Infantry, some Forlondon Pikemen, and looks like a couple units of Noldorn Guard, as well as some Mithlond Pikemen as well, so a lot of pikes here from Lister. And it looks like he's also going to be bringing 4 units of archers, 2 units of Harlandon Guard, as well as 2 units of Forlondon archers. And I believe he also has his own unit of Rangers hidden around here somewhere as well. So that'll pretty much do it with the army comps. The battle does take quite a bit to get started because of how far away, really, the attacking armies are. So I will see you guys in just a minute when the battle begins. Alright, well, I'm back for just a minute. There actually is going to be quite a bit of opening artillery fire here from the attackers, or not from the attackers, from the defenders, sorry. Because both Bobo and Von Nutten, of course, have their trebuchets. They're going to be in range of just about everything on the pretty much the entire map, almost. You can see a really good hit here from Von Mountain's trebuchet right into the Mithlond Pikemen, as well as the Noldorn Guard. So we'll go ahead and play it. Like I said, it does take a bit. Ooh, actually getting some of those Noldorn Blade Masters there as well. That's a good hit. So it does actually take quite a bit for the battle to actually get started because of how far away the attackers are. They're gonna have quite a long ways to travel to advance. Really, you can see the dwarves pushing forward here right now, as well as Engsfitz. But we will be able to see some good artillery hits, and we can see what strategies the attackers are going to be trying to use here to advance on Carlin. Ooh, another pretty good trebuchet hit, taking out a number of those Harlandon Guard. Trebuchet, of course, pretty darn inaccurate, but because of how closely packed all these Linden troops are, it's actually getting a decent amount of hits. You can see taking out some more pikemen, as well as some Noldorn Guard, it looks like right there. You can see Lister's going to scramble to put his troops into loose formation to try and minimize that damage from the artillery. And meanwhile, we've got, looks like the dwarves of Erebor pushing forward here with their entire army, trying to get closer to that front line. And we've got Engsfitz going all the way around the side here, because the deployment zones of this map are a little bit spotty. They're a little weird, so they kind of had to deploy kind of like only on like this kind of edge. So they're gonna have to straighten out their whole army here to be able to face that Linden pike, or not that Linden, sorry, that Carlin pike line and skirmish force. You can see so many Carlin forces back there. Going to be a very, very bloody battle indeed. You can see, yeah, Linden rushing his troops all the way around here. I say Linden, but I should say Engsfitz because there's technically 2 Linden armies here. But yeah, in this battle, I believe Linden was attacking Foreshell, which is a province that is currently under Carlin control. Looks like there's been maybe a couple more trebuchet hits. That might have been an old one, I don't actually know. But yes, still, this battle was actually really, really fun too. Really a good way to get back into Reforged, definitely. Also, as you could probably tell, this is on 0.96.1, not on the test patch. Engsfitz is going to try to take advantage of the terrain here. He's going to push all the way around the side here and try to get his skirmishers up here on this hill, as you can see. Because you can see he will be able to have at least a little bit of room to try to push some skirmishers up here. And if he's able to get in range of Bobo 17k's troops, that'll be able to really, really help him out a lot to have this high ground on the Carlin defensive forces here, which is why you can see him rushing over here to try to get his archers in position. Also, kind of an interesting thing about this battle is that because of the fact that there was no cavalry allowed in this particular battle, you're going to see people being very, very aggressive. There's the Warden's Velocitarian. You're going to be seeing people be very aggressive with their archers as well as just their normal swordsmen and stuff. Whereas normally you would definitely have to protect your archers with spearmen or your own cavalry if you were to advance. You can see Engsfitz really doesn't have anything to worry about pushing forward his archers here by themselves. Because there is no enemy cavalry, he doesn't have to worry about them getting charged down. Although of course that does work both ways. You can see we've got our own archers kind of just unprotected in certain areas. You can see my crossbowmen just right there with nothing in front of them. So, you know, it does definitely work both ways. You can see I've got a very nice hill here that I'm sure Lister definitely does not want to advance on. You can see that's why he's just kind of staying still. I was trying to get my catapult into position. Back here in its original spot, it did say that the Linden troops, or that Lister's troops, were in firing range. However, whenever I tried to actually make the catapult fire, it would just push forward all the way down the hill. So I decided to just kind of stop and try to put it back into its original position. We've still got Von Mountain firing his trebuchet here, getting some hits in here on the Harlundon infantry, killing like 7 or 8 of them maybe. Yeah, looks like 8 actually, because I think there's 123 men in units to start with. And down to 115. Ithon the Marines, yeah. Lister's going to be very careful here because he is the closest to the Carlin forces. However, he of course is not going to advance immediately because doing so would definitely be suicide, moving forward without the support of his allies. You can see the dwarves have gotten into a little bit of a better position. They're kind of starting to line up, as well as Engsfitz back there is also lining up nicely. See some of the Ironfoot pikes getting taken out by the trebuchet as well. Ooh, the Ironfoot axe throwers taking the hit there, almost hitting the General's Bodyguardian of Eclipse 2500 there. Sons of Durin, very, very deadly in melee, of course. And Engsfitz is still pushing forward. You can see his more expensive, more armored units are here in the back. He does not want them to get targeted by the artillery or archers just yet, so he's going to keep them a little bit further behind his own lines. And we've got the skirmishers of Engsfitz pushed up quite far. They might actually even be in range. Nope, not quite yet. But they are going to be in range pretty shortly here. Unfortunately, it looks like he is in a bit of a ravine here, so he's definitely going to have the low ground against Bobo 17k's forces, which is going to be probably pretty annoying to deal with. Carlin definitely doesn't have, like, amazing skirmishers, at least definitely not compared to, like, elves. However, on the high ground, and with just the pure numbers of skirmishers that Carlin is bringing here, Engsfitz may definitely run into some troubles with his own archers. You can see we've actually got a unit of civilians up here from Bobo 17k as well. I believe he placed in here because he didn't want any elven skirmishers to get up here on this nice hill position, so he's just kind of leaving his civilians here as cannon fodder. Although, of course, if the dwarves or elves decide to push forward pretty much any unit, these civilians would get absolutely melted. But I mean, it's something. You know, he might be able to slow down the advancing attackers at least a little bit. We got some Ironfoot warriors actually moving up as we speak, as well as some Ironfoot crossbows, airborne legionaries as well. Back here, myself and Lister are both still in kind of just a staring contest. I'm not going to move forward, of course, because I'm a defender and I've got that epic hill. And Lister, of course, doesn't want to move forward because that would be suicide to charge that hill of pikes and skirmishers. By himself, at least. Up here we've got some Ironfoot warriors maybe going to get into the first melee engagement of the battle, chasing after these civilians who are actually going to pull back. So I don't quite know why he put them there if he was just going to retreat them immediately. Maybe he's actually going to... Oh, he's maybe not retreating. Is he trying to go after Engsfitz? I think he might actually be trying to go after Engsfitz's skirmishers here. No, maybe not. No, he's pulling back now. Okay. That was a little weird. But yeah, Eclipse now pushed forward with some of his infantry. He's got more coming up, as well as some crossbows. Basically, just his whole army is moving up right now. And here comes some more trebuchet hits from Von Mountain. Getting a miss there. Blacklock Engineers going into loose formation. Very wise idea. Very few men in the unit, of course, so you want to keep them safe from that artillery fire. Or as safe as possible, anyway. Oh, trebuchet again missing, although I believe the trebuchet actually does have more ammo than the catapult, so he's going to be able to fire for quite a long time. Although he has been firing pretty much as soon as the game started, so he'll probably not be able to fire for too much longer, I would think, but he will be able to at least get in some more damage. You can see the Warden Zealous here getting up here on this hill position, so Bobo definitely does not want to advance, otherwise he will get absolutely melted by all of these Linden forces. Oh, now I've got the civilians rushing forward after the Forlindon archers here. Maybe going to get a bit of melee here. See more archers running around. There's also some Harlandon infantry trying to chase after Bobo 17K's civilians, trying to ward him off from advancing on Engsfitz's Forlindon archers. The Harlandon infantry actually in loose formation as well, and Bobo's running back towards his own lines here, which is probably going to be a good idea, because as long as he can get close enough, the Harlandon infantry may actually end up getting in range of the Carlin skirmishers. So looks like we're going to be able to see the first bit of melee in just a second. You can see a couple of those Harlandon infantry getting shot down by some, probably the Guaflo trackers maybe? No, I take it back. The Greenwatch Garrison archers are actually now opening up here on the lightly armored Harlandon infantry. And while they are lightly armored, they do at least have shields. However, since they're not actually retreating, they're going to be getting shot in the back, so their shields are not really going to be of much use to them. The civilians of Bobo 17K still running around. Probably going to get pretty tired here, to be honest. Although it looks like they are going to maybe try to get a charge off here into the Forlindon archers. Let's see if that does indeed happen. No, it looks like Engsfitz is going to deny him that chance and is going to retreat with his skirmishers, not wanting to take unnecessary losses to his skirmish line. Harlandon infantry rushing forward once more after these civilians, as well as some Harlandon guard actually pushing forward here, some skirmishers with decent shield value. Civilians once again running back to the safety of their own lines, but they are now winded, so they're not going to be able to sprint around for too much longer. Although, then again, here they come. They're coming back. Bobo being very aggressive here with his civilians. Which definitely, you can definitely afford to be aggressive with civilians, because they only cost like 150 gold or something. You can see the Harlandon Guard now beginning to open fire on the Minister Rithlin archers that Bobo has brought up. They are in loose formation, however, they're kind of still a little bit blocked up. Oh! I forgot about that. I totally forgot about that. We'll go over there really quickly. We were in voice chat, and that was actually a very funny moment. Because Von Mountain's trebuchet has been firing the whole time, and he actually was able to kill Eclipse 2500's general. Not only the general, but actually a couple of the officers there as well. It looks like you can see there's the burnt Dwarven general. And that is actually a very, very good thing for the defensive Carlin forces, because Erebor does not have the greatest morale as it is. And so with the loss of their general, there's going to be a lot of routing Dwarven units here, which is going to be very, very good for those of us who are on the defending team. Over here we've got the first melee engagement of this replay. We've got some civilians trying to do their best here against the Harlandon infantry. Their AP really isn't going to do them that much good against the lightly armored Harlandon infantry. However, they do have a lot of numbers. You can see here in the center, the Harlandon Guard just don't have the manpower to really stop the advance of these civilians. However, on the edges, they're still doing decent. Looks like some Aaronborn Axemen are going to go into the fray here as well. Fire arrows making the civilians shaking. And again, the AP isn't going to do much against the Harlandon infantry here of Engsfitz, but just the pure amount of numbers should do okay. Although you can see Carlin also doesn't have great morale; they're already shaken, even after just charging in there, and they also even have the high ground here, actually wavering now. Same with the civilians here. So it looks like the first infantry fight will probably go in favor of the attackers here, because of all this wavering that's going on. And Vorn Axemen's still at 160, but they're still thinking about routing. They're definitely rattled by all the arrow fire here. We've got some Greenwich Garrison archers coming around the flank here as well, trying to shoot after all these units. And some more trebuchet fire. I believe that might be from Bobo's trebuchet, as well as Von Mountain's trebuchet, actually. So Engsfitz here coming under a lot of artillery fire, as well as arrow fire. Now you can see back here the Forlindon archers are now down to 90 men remaining. Getting a little bit of lag here, so that might slow down just a tad. 3 men down from that trebuchet hit. Harlandon infantry still doing their best, and it looks like that is going to be the end of Bobo's civilians, and they're probably going to be followed shortly in routing by these Airborne Axemen. Yep, there they go. 100 men left over, but they're still going to rout nevertheless. So the first infantry, or the first melee engagement has definitely been won by the attackers here. Oh, it looks like there were 2 units of Aaron. Oh, okay, never mind. I thought there were 2 units of Aaronborn Axemen, but maybe not. I don't think so. No, okay, yeah, that's just one unit. I was a little confused there. But yeah, Engsfitz is going to push forward here. He's going to continue his rush here. Going to try to hope that the momentum will be able to carry him through. Maybe, perhaps not. Actually, he's actually pulling back. He doesn't want to rush too far forward here because there's a lot of Cartland forces over here. You can see Bobo, sorry, is actually pushing for some Minister and Swordsman. And here comes some Harlandon Guard, or Harlandon Infantry rather, sorry. Going to be now fighting against some Minister and Spearmen. And I'm honestly not quite sure how this battle will play out, because the Harlandon Infantry have been fighting for quite some time. However, these Spearmen, of course, do have a malice against other infantry, so they might have a very tough time. Here we've got another unit of Harlandon Infantry fighting, this time against some Minister and Swordsmen. And this is going to be another interesting battle, because the Harlandon Infantry, of course, have way fewer men, but they have way better attack stats. However, the Minister and Swordsmen also have better armor, so it's going to be an interesting fight nevertheless. We've also got some more Minister and Swordsmen here, as well as some Harlandon Infantry, just constant streams of infantry and melee troops rushing forward here into the fray. And back here we've still got Engsfitz's pikes, his javelins, and his archers sitting back here as well. Although it looks like some archers and javelins are going to now be pushing forward here, going to try to get some good skirmish fire in on those heavily armored Cartland forces. And for Axemen coming back from routing, and over here we've got a push from the dwarves. Looks like the Ironfoot warriors are now pushing forward. Looks like some more, yeah, it looks like maybe just more Ironfoot warriors coming back. Ironfoot crossbowmen are also pushing forward. And some, yeah, just Ironfoot crossbowmen and Ironfoot warriors are now pushing forward from the dwarves. See, the dwarves taking quite a bit of skirmish fire. The Greenwich Garrison archers aren't going to do too much damage against those Ironfoot warriors, although you can see that they're starting to slow down the dwarves just because of the volume of arrows that are getting shot at them. Although if Bobo is not careful, his Greenwich Garrison archers will get caught out in melee against the Ironfoot warriors, and they will lose that battle very badly. So he's going to have to be on top of things and try to pull them back if he wants them to stay alive. The constant trebuchet fire still coming in here, hitting through those Harlandon Guard. Looks like Noldorn Guard and Pikemen are pushing forward up here as well from Engsfitz. His Wardens of Elastirion are coming forward. Just a big push here from Engsfitz. Although, to be fair, because he is pushing forward by himself, he may come under some stress here pretty shortly. You can see Lister back there still not really doing anything. He might be sending some reinforcements over this way. The Dwarves are kind of pushing, but not really. They're just pushing forward a few units. Whereas Engsfitz over here is pretty much full sending by himself. Which is allowing all of the defending Cartland forces to kind of focus him down. I believe I'm actually sending over some archers and something like that over here this way as well. I think Von Mountain might also be sending some reinforcements down Bobo's way pretty shortly too. Over here you can see the Minister and Swordsmen still struggling actually quite heavily against these tides of Harlandon infantry that just keep on coming. Forlandon Marines here in the fight now as well. Minister and Spearmen are starting to get surrounded, so Bobo is pushing forward some more Minister and Swordsmen. Minister and Spearmen again just not doing too hot. The Forlandon Pikemen are in the fight now. Over here you can see that you've got some dwarves pushing straight into the Cartland front line of Bobo. However, because of the loss of the general, you can see that despite still having 108 men, they're actually thinking about routing here. And that was actually a very good thing that the general of the dwarves got sniped, for at least the defenders, because it is going to lead to a lot of dwarven routing, which is definitely going to be a good thing for the Cartland forces. We've got some more Ironfoot warriors pushing forward, and it honestly kind of looks like to me that Eclipse is kind of pushing forward almost in waves, which is not really something you want to do. If you're going to push, you should probably just full send. Obviously there's exceptions to that, but for the most part, he should probably push all of his forces forward at once, especially because Bobo's line of pike here is pretty thin, and most of the Dwarven roster will be able to deal with these mercenary guilds in here very, very easily. And especially considering the fact that Engsfitz is pretty much full sending right now by himself, I believe that the dwarves as well as Lister probably should just do the same. Especially because you can actually now see that Von Mountain is pushing forward here, trying to help out his ally Bobo. You can see he's pushing forward all three of his civilian units, now going over here after the Ironfoot crossbowmen probably, which will be very good actually because the civilians are AP, and because there's a ton of them, they might actually be able to do a decent amount of damage against those Ironfoot crossbows. Ironfoot warriors over here as well. And yeah, again, these dwarves just not having a fun time because of the loss of their general. They're really not feeling it in this fight. They just don't want to be here. They want to go home and go back to mining probably. Over here though, we've still got Engsfitz pushing forward here. You can see he's starting to make some headway. He's pushing through this gap here with his Noldorn Guard. Probably going to be able to get into these Minister Earthland archers. Going to try to silence a few of those Cartland skirmishers. But again, there's just so many troops around here from Cartland. We've got some crossbows from Von Mountain. We've got Pikes from Von Mountain, Minotaur Guardians from Bobo. Just a crap ton of skirmishers from Cardinal over here. Although, as long as Linden keeps pushing forward, he will be able to get into the back line of these skirmishers and try to silence them. However, he is starting to run a little bit low on infantry himself because he's been pushing so hard here. You can see he's got some pikes left. He's probably got some... Yeah, look, I think he's got some Noldoran Guard left as well. But for the most part, his infantry is starting to really go down in number. So he's going to probably start to struggle here a little bit. Especially with all of these Cardolan skirmishers, as well as Cardolan reinforcements pushing in now from Bobo's allies. See Mythlon Marines coming around. There go the Ironfoot Warriors routing. You can see Bobo's line is starting to get a little bit crazy over here. There goes some more Ironfoot Warriors routing. Ironfoot Crossmen right here in the front line, going to be able to get a nice volley off, probably right into these pikemen here. But they're going to also be getting charged by these civilians from the rear. And with the AP, the civilians, as long as they're able to stay in melee for a decent amount of time, the civilians will actually be able to do probably okay-ish. They'll at least be able to slow down the crossbows and stop them from firing for the time being. Over here we've got some civilians routing in the face of this huge horde of Dwarven infantry. Very, very scary units. See, the Dwarves are starting to push forward here with most of their units. Pushing forward here en masse. And over here we've got Lister still just kind of sitting here. You can see he's got his troops in loose formation as well. And I'm not really doing anything either because I don't want to... You can see I'm starting to send over some more reinforcements towards Bobo. I'm rushing over with some Guathlo trackers, Ministry of Archers, pikemen as well. Just trying to kind of move around and try to support my allies a bit. Because it's totally fine with me that Lister is not doing anything because I've got such a good hill advantage that if he did decide to push, I would definitely be able to hold at least long enough for my troops to kind of reform and be able to get into a better fighting position. So I'm totally fine with him just sitting back there because it also allows me time to send over reinforcements to Bobo. You can see I've actually got some Guathlo trackers over here at the moment. They had to run quite a long ways, but they did finally get here. They're now opening up fire on the lightly armored troops of Linden. See, this battle over here is just totally chaotic. The battle lines are just all over the place. You can see Linden has definitely pushed forward quite a bit here. You can see bodies there, bodies here, bodies everywhere. But you can see that Carlin is still holding on. Bobo is still definitely holding on, and that is mainly due to the fact that Angstfitz is starting to run out of infantry here. See, he's got some pikemen pushing forward right now, although I believe they are going to be getting shot pretty shortly here by my Guathlo trackers back there. Because, of course, Forland and pikemen do not have much armor, which is why they're in loose formation. Angstfitz, of course, realizes their weakness to skirmishers. That was a good trebuchet hit, taking out a number of those Forlandon Marines. See, Mercenary Guildsmen trying to hold their own against the Forlandon Marines and pikemen. Trebuchet, ooh, is that a little bit of friendly fire, actually, looked like. Not enough to rout anything, though, so that's good. And over here we've got the Von Mountain Pikes doing well against the last of this Harlandon infantry. Well, they are thinking about routing, actually. So if there's enough skirmish fire from Angstfitz, he will be able to rout that unit. Looks like some Forlandon archers that are now out of ammo going to be pushing forward here. As well as some ones that still have ammo. He's also still got his Moldoran Blade Masters and his Wardens of Elastirian. Their BP really just getting a lot of kills for Angstfitz here. Ironfoot Crossmen are here. Ironfoot Warriors coming back from routing. Mythlon Marines pushing forward. You can see this line is starting to look pretty darn thin. You can see most of the civilians of Von Mountain are routing. Dwarves are definitely pushing forward here. Ironfoot Axe Thrower is probably going to be trying to go after this catapult here, as well as the rest of Von Mountain's troops up here. Although there are some sharpshooters up here. Their AP missile is going to do a ton of damage over here on all these heavily armored dwarves. You can see already the Ironfoot Axe Throwers taking a lot of skirmish fire, and a lot of them going down to those AP missiles. Bobo scrambling, trying to reform his pike line here. He's got some Tharbad Warhammers over here as well, trying to fight against the tides of Sons of Durin, Axgar of Erebor, as well as maybe some, yeah, pikemen are actually pushing forward here as well. So big push here from the dwarves. And if Bobo doesn't, Bobo's gonna definitely struggle. We're going to have to send some reinforcements over his way if we want to hold on here, because over here Linden is going to be able to cut down the last of Bobo's forces pretty shortly. And it doesn't help that over here, the dwarves are doing a heavy push against the last of his skirmishers and pikemen. So because of that, we're going to be sending some reinforcements over his way. You can see Guathlo trackers are here trying to do their best. We've got some Minotaur Roman Guardians, or AP, going after the Axe Guard of Erebor. Looks like Tharbad Warhammers from Von Mountain are coming over as well. And I've got some Ministry of Sharpshooters trying to go over there as well. Oh, unfortunate friendly fire there from Von Mountain's trebuchet, directly hitting one of Bobo's trebuchets. Pretty unfortunate there. Although over here, you can see that Von Mountain is doing a good job at cutting down the last of these Ironfoot axe throwers with his Minuscule Swordsman. And the good thing is, the dwarves are basically full sending with Engsfits against Bobo. Both myself and Von Mountain basically have our entire armies still left to us. So despite the fact that Bobo is starting to get overrun here, it's going to be probably okay-ish because of the fact that both the dwarves and Engsfits have spent a lot of resources and troops just trying to take out one of the defending Cardinal armies. See, the Trebuchet is still doing work here. You can see the attackers trying to chase after some of these remaining skirmishers from Cardlin. And they're going to try to be wrapping around our defensive line here as well. So we're going to have to scramble some troops to try and stop that pretty shortly here. Although, to be fair, like I said, there's nothing really going on here on the front line at all. So it should be okay for the most part. Over here we've got some Rearmarch Garrison footmen of Bobo trying to fight here against the crossbows and the Ironfoot pikes. The crossbows are actually thinking about routing. Again, the loss of the general is really huge when you're playing as the dwarves. However, the pikes here are also starting to think about routing, especially probably because of that incoming friendly fire from the skirmishers. Ironfoot crossbows pulling out now from the fight. Ironfoot pikes going to probably be able to deal with these Rearmarch Garrison footmen with relative ease. And over here we've got some swordsmen from Von Mountain still chasing after the last of these Ironfoot axe throwers, although they are about to get flanked by some Harlandon infantry from Lister, who is finally going to be sending some of his own troops into the fray now as well. Blacklock engineers here still too. I don't think they fired a single volley quite yet. If I remember correctly, they do get a pretty nice volley later on in the battle, but I don't want to spoil anything, so we'll wait for that. There go the Rearmarch Garrison footmen. Here come a bunch of pikes, some civilians rushing forward, and here comes the next engagement. We've got some Sons of Durin, a lot of Dwarven heavy infantry pushing forward here into some Minotaur Roman Guardians now. And these Minotaur Roman Guardians are going to lose that fight very badly. They've got AP halberds, but if they don't get some support, they're going to lose that fight pretty quickly. Tharbad Warhammers here are here as well. We've got some Minuscule Swordsmen, some more pikes. Guathlo trackers are there as well. Here comes some Noldorn Guard from Engsfits. It looks like the last of Engsfits' infantry is pushing forward. Guathlo trackers from Bobo over there getting chased down by some elves and dwarves. And yeah, you can see some Mithlon Marines. Engsfits doesn't have a ton left. He's still got his skirmishers. Over here we've actually got the Hearthguard of Emansul going after Engsfits' Wardens of Elos Tyrion. Over here we've also got the Noldorn Blade Masters butchering the last of those Rearmarch Garrison archers. Pardon me. So yeah, it's definitely just been a really, really chaotic battle overall. It was super fun because of how chaotic it was. I actually kind of like having battles with no cav sometimes just because of how chaotic and fun they can be. And I just kind of like them. I might actually do more battles in the future where there is no cavalry, just because of how unique they really can be. Just a full-on infantry and archer grind, basically. You can see the Minotaur Roman Guardians here trying to hold back the tides of dwarves, but they're starting to struggle quite grievously now. We got some pikes coming in to try and support. And we've got a ton of crossbows here, including my own, trying to fire down here. Ooh, you can see those Sons of Durin taking a lot of crossbow arrows out here just because they've got nothing to protect them. Looks like some more dwarves are pushing forward. The crossbows, the Ironfoot crossbowmen are still firing as well. Von Mountain scrambling some more infantry to try and hold the line. Meanwhile, this hill of skirmishers up here is just pouring down arrow after arrow into the attacking forces. And again, Von Mountain still has a decent amount of troops left, and I've got basically my entire army left. Although, to be fair, so does Lister. He has sent some troops over to help out, but not a ton. Ironfoot pikes starting to surround Von Mountain's Greenwatch Garrison archers here. And if we look around, looks like these Minuscule swordsmen are going to rout after getting charged from behind by these Ironfoot axe throwers after fighting some of Lister's Harlandon infantry. Although the Harlandon infantry are taking some pretty hefty losses from arrow fire. Over here, it looks like the elves and my own skirmishers are not quite in range of each other just yet. And over here we still just have a very, very chaotic battle. Although it looks like the dwarves are starting to lose a little bit of steam here. You can see the Minuscule swordsmen are thinking about routing because of all the javelins and skirmish fire coming from the attackers. Although the same can be said for the defenders. The defending crossbows are still hammering into the sides of the Sons of Durin as well as Ironfoot pikes here. You see Sons of Durin are now down to 45 men remaining. And over here, the Rearmarch Garrison footmen here, the pikes here, are doing a good job at holding back these Axe Guard of Erebor and Erebor legionaries. Although here on the flank, you can see the Tharbad Warhammers are definitely struggling here against the combined forces of the Noldorn Guard and the Harlandon archers. And it's just going to be worse with the advance here of these 61 Noldorn Blade Masters. Extremely, extremely skillful, two-handed, multiple HP units. going to be able to do a ton of damage here against basically everything, which is why we've got some skirmishers around here to try and silence them. And Gwethlo trackers are shooting while also getting attacked by the Forland archers. We also got some Minister swords over here as well. Ironfoot warriors back there. Ooh, and here come the Wardens of Elos Tyrion. It looks like they are out of ammo, which is good for the defenders. So you've got some more units. You've got the Dunedain Rangers back there, some Ironborn Axemen, more Ironborn Axemen. And it looks like there are some more reinforcing units coming up now. I've got some of my pikes coming forward to help out. And you can actually see that over here, the skirmish fight is actually going pretty well in my favor, actually, just because of the sheer volume of archers that I brought. I believe I actually had like 10 skirmishers, which is, like, of course, half my army. So the elves over here really just taking a lot of arrows. And there goes Engsfitz's general. Yeah, I can see over here Lister really suffering quite grievous losses at the hands of my very numerous Carlin archers. And, of course, because they've got a very nice hill advantage here, they're going to be doing even better. Lister sending over some more reinforcements over here to this hill fight. Von Mountain still has got a number of troops left, firing after these crossbows. Hearthguard of Amonsul actually chasing the crossbows. And over here, looks like the archers are trying to hold against the Ironfoot Pikes and the Harlan Guard. And again, the loss of the Dwarven General has just proven so fatal to Eclipse 2500. You've got so many troops that are constantly thinking about routing, and so many troops that are actually routing because of that loss of his general. Over here, you can see the attackers are starting to push through. The crossbows still constantly firing. There's only 15 Sons of Durin left. Looks like a lot of the pikes are dead. Trebuchets now in melee. I've got my pikemen here set up just in time to try to face down against these Airborne Legionaries, Axgar Airborne, and the Noldoran Blade Masters. Although they are taking some. Well, I believe that's Von Mountain's general. Oh no, that actually might be my general. I don't remember. It might have been mine. I'm not quite sure because I think I pushed over my Minotaur Roman Guardians, which was my general's bodyguard, somewhere over here. Not quite sure. My Minisgrowth and Sharpshooters are out of ammo. They're going to be helping out my pikemen here. AP going to be very good against the dwarves, although not so good against the not so good against Engsfitz's Noldoran Blade Masters. And the Blade Masters are just so good. They're going to be able to even cut down a great number of these pikemen here. And over here we've got the Airborne Legionaries cutting down the last of my Gwethlo trackers who are thinking about routing. Ooh, unfortunately, I think we just missed it. But you can see all these bodies here were the Minisgrowth and Swordsmen of Von Mountain that had gotten absolutely obliterated by those Blacklock Engineers. You can see Von Mountain trying to push his forces around here to try to chase off those Blacklock Engineers. Looks like the Tharbad Warhammers of Bobo are actually routing. Pikemen coming back into the fight as well. He's got Von Mountain, who's got his Dunedain Rangers here, very nicely positioned on the flank of the enemy here. Going to be able to get his BP arrows into pretty much anything he wants. Over here on this hill, the fight still continues. The Noldoran Blade Masters down to 42. The dwarves are definitely taking losses. The mix of pikes as well as AP infantry really doing good work, although we've got the Ironfoot crossbows and some javelins damaging my troops as well. Over here we have got some Airborne Legionaries and Noldoran Guard and the like, cutting down probably the last of the Trebuchet crew. 14 Sons of Durin left. You can see the dwarves are nearly spent. They don't have that much. They don't have that many troops left. Von Mountain surrounding some Mithlon Marines here as well. Von Mountain is also starting to run out of his own troops now, so I will be sending over more troops shortly here. And you can see that Lister is actually pushing forward with his entire army, which will in turn cause me to do the same. So it looks like pretty much the entire fight is actually going to end up being just over here on this right side, because shortly here Lister will push forward with most of his army right over here, which will of course lead me to do the same. See, the body piercing right there of the... Who was that? I think there might have been some Rangers over here. Maybe it was actually the Blacklock Engineers right there, but really, really devastating to my line here that was doing relatively well. You can see those skirmishers just doing a huge number to my poor Cardolan forces. Trying to get my few remaining Minisgrowth and Sharpshooters to chase after these Mithlon Marines, get them to stop firing their javelins. And Vorn Axemen trying to do their best as well against some elves and dwarves. Over here the Ironfoot crossbowmen are... Oh no, actually the Hearthguard of Emonsul and the Minisgrowth and Swordsmen trying to chase down these Blacklock Engineers. However, the Blacklock Engineers are by no means bad in melee. They have multiple HP. I believe they're AP in melee as well, so they're going to be able to hold their own very nicely against those attacking forces. They also are being given support here from some Ironfoot Pikes as well. Ironborn Axemen, looks like Ironborn Axemen are actually going to also try to chase down after either the Crossbowmen or the Blacklock Engineers, who are still stuck in melee there. Throland on Pikemen from Lister, pretty healthy. They've got 123 men in the unit left over, so we're going to have to try to scramble some forces to try and deal with them. Harlandon infantry fighting against some Minuscule sharpshooters from Von Mountain. You can see I'm pushing forward almost all my troops over here right now. I'm rushing forward with basically everything I've got. I'm leaving some stuff behind, primarily archers it looks like, as well as a couple units of cheap spearmen. As you can see, Lister does have at least a few units here. He actually pulled back a little bit. He didn't want to continue that skirmish fight that was kind of one-sided. You can see he still definitely has some units back here. He's got all of his pikemen, well not all, 3 units of pikemen, as well as his Noldoran Guard and his Blade Masters over here. But he is pushing forward unit after unit slowly here, kind of advancing in waves over here to fight on this hill. This hillside has really just been a total insane fight. It's just been so all over the place really. Just been a really crazy fight over here on this hill and over on this pretty much whole side of the map really. You see the pikemen here of Linden trying to block this gap here. Ironfoot pikes routing. I've got some Minuscule swordsmen here. They're not going to be doing... They would not do very well against the Forlandon pikemen. And because the Forlandon pikemen weren't really advancing, I decided to just throw them in here against the Harlandon infantry. Although unfortunately you can see I got a really bad friendly fire hit there from my own catapult, taking out about 10 or so, maybe 20 actually of my men. Von Mountain's got some pikes up here. Hearthguard of Emansul from Von Mountain over here as well. You can see that my pikemen as well as my Minuscule sharpshooters were able to beat back all of the attackers right here. I believe most of the Noldoran Blade Masters have been taken out. Looks like also over here all of these Wardens of Elastirion have been taken out, although Lister still has his own Wardens of Elastirion. Von Mountain's Minuscule sharpshooters still firing into the flanks of all these units. He's got his Dunedain Rangers back there as well. I have my Dunedain captains here. They're only at 21 because they were fighting against a fairly healthy unit of the Noldoran Blade Masters. Although they were victorious, but you can see they took a lot of losses in that fight. Dunedain captains probably would not win a 1v1 against the Noldoran Blade Masters. So that is to be expected. Noldoran Guard here of Lister down to 90. They're getting started from pretty much all sides by some AP units, now by my captains. There's some pikemen moving forward here as well. Just a truly, truly chaotic fight. The Forlandon pikemen now in the fray over here as well. You can see Von Mountain's got his own pikemen to try and match those of the elves. And it looks like this Harlandon infantry is going to be routing here as well, so we will be able to kind of wrap around these pikes, hopefully. You can see Lister is pushing forward here with some more of his units. He's got his Wardens of Elastirion there, as well as some Blade Masters and some more Harlandon Guard. A lot of Marines there as well. And I've got my own Minotaur Roman Guardians over here as well, trying to just shoot whatever I can. But so far, it looks like Engsfits and the Dwarves are just about spent. It looks like the only attacker that really has troops left would be Lister. Both Bobo, I believe Bobo is pretty much out of the fight now as well. I don't think he's got much left. And Von Mountain has taken a tremendous amount of casualties. However, both myself and Lister do still have a decent amount of troops. Actually, I believe I have only lost a few units at this time, because Lister never pushed me pretty much at all the entire fight. So I was able to pretty much just play the whole fight out just by supporting my allies, which was pretty cool, I guess. Over here we've got Minuscule Swordsmen trying to charge into the rear here of these Harlandon infantry who are probably going to rout from that rear charge. And over here we've got some Greenwich Garrison pikemen trying to do their best against these Forlandon pikemen. It looks like they're doing actually a pretty good job of it. Forlandon pikemen down to 53 men remaining. Lister pushing forward here with some skirmishers. I believe all of the Blacklock engineers have been pretty much taken out in that melee fight. Over here we've got some Minotaur Roman Guardians and Dunedain captains trying to hold their own against these 61 Noldoran Guard. Although there are some Minuscule sharpshooters advancing now as we speak. I've still got 18 of those Guatho trackers back there. Got my own Minotaur Roman Guardians over here, as well as some more reinforcements from that side. Looks like these Forlandon pikemen will shortly be surrounded and cut down. Although you can see that there are some more advancing Linden forces from Lister here. I'm going to try to catch these Forlandon Marines with my swordsmen before they are able to throw their javelins here. And it looks like I was at least mildly successful, although you can see that the Wardens of Elastirion are now beginning to open up their BP arrows right into my poor Minuscule swordsmen, who are going to take a lot of casualties because of that. So I've also got my Greenwich Garrison archers trying to surround these Marines. I want to try to surround and cut down these Marines as quickly as possible, because javelins can quickly turn a battle around. You can see I've also got, Von Mountain has actually got his Hearthguard of Emansul firing down on the Wardens of Elastirion, getting a few kills there. And up here on this hill, the fight still continues. It looks like Lister is pushing forward more troops. Now he's got some Mithlond Marines, just a ton of Marines. Yeah, he's got 2 units of Mithlond Marines as well as a unit of Harlandon Guard here. You can see Von Mountain is, I believe, yeah, his sharpshooters are trying to, I believe they were firing at the Noldoran Guard right up there, but looks like they might actually get caught out in melee by the Mithlond Marines, maybe? Well, maybe not. Going to be able to get a point-blank volley off directly into those Mythlon Marines, though. Although the Mythlon Marines are going to return fire with their javelins, those AP missiles are going to do a lot of damage to these minuscule Mythlon sharpshooters who are not in loose formation. Levon's just going to try to, looks like he's just going to try to sit here and take it, and try to deal as much damage as he can with his crossbows into those Mythlon Marines. It's going to be a pretty brutal skirmish fight right there. Definitely would not want to be either of those units. Mentor Roman Guardians here up on this hill. I've got some more Minuscule Mythlon archers around here as well. You can see my swordsmen took a lot of losses to those Wardens of Tyrion. They're still taking losses to the Blackhawk Engineers. I thought they were actually dealt with, but there's still 37 of them left. Just butchering my poor Minuscule swordsmen who are trying to cut down these Forlondon Marines, along with my Green Garrison archers. Although you can see the Wardens of Tyrion now down to only 35 men remaining, while the Blackhawk Engineers are still active, which is not good because they can absolutely melt units like they're not even there. I'm trying to, I believe the Cardinal forces as a whole, both me and Von Mount, were trying to really focus down the Rangers as well as those Blackhawk Engineers. You can see now my Minotaur Roman Guardians are actually taking some volleys from these 10 Mythlon Marines. There's only 10 of them, but they still will be able to do at least a decent amount of damage because of their AP missiles. But for the most part, they're not that much of a worry. Meanwhile over here, 7 Noldoran Guard. There's still 62 of these Mythlon Marines here, as well as, looks like, 50 Harlem Guard charging into 68 Minuscule Sharpshooters. There's some Rangers from Von Mountain running around the side as well. It looks like they are out of ammo, though. So they might actually be trying to go out and silence those either Wardens or perhaps the Blackhawk Engineers, which would be very good. There's Mythlon Marines over here, though, and these 62 Mythlon Marines would definitely be enough to worry my Minotaur Roman Guardians here. I believe the Minotaur Roman Guardians might actually be out of ammo. I've got some Rangers over here as well, and you can see Lister was beginning to advance, so I was beginning to shoot at him with my archers as well as catapult. But as soon as he started to advance, he actually pulled back once more, so there was really nothing much I could do besides kind of just sit there. But meanwhile, Hearthguard and Sewell, Minuscule Archers still firing. Looks like over here the Forlondon Marines are doing actually a very good job at fighting my Green Garrison Archers as well as the last of my swordsmen that are over there. Also up here on this hill you can see just an absolute horrible battle, just totally chaotic. We've got some elves pushing forward here, maybe? Yeah, it looks like the pikes here are routing, so we've got some Mythlon Marines pushing forward here up on this hill. There are also some Blackhawk Engineers who are going to be getting charged by the Dunedain Rangers. Maybe there are also the Noldoran Blade Masters over here. Wardens of Tyrion are at 29. Although the Minuscule Sharpshooters were able to win the fight here against the Harlondon Guard. Although, with the advance of these Noldoran Blade Masters here, I'm pretty positive that they will not be able to do much more, because they're going to get absolutely shredded by those Noldoran Blade Masters, let me tell you that. Over here, though, looks like the Rangers are once again going to rout. They're very far outmatched by the Mythlon Marines as well as by the Blackhawk Engineers. Up here, we've got some Minotaur Roman Guardians fighting against some Mythlon Marines. Looks like there are also some Greenwich Garrison Spearmen up here, as well as some Hearthguard to try and support them. My Rangers are going to be going around the flank now to try to focus down their fire on those very deadly Noldoran Blade Masters. So they've got some cheap infantry up in here as well. And again, these Forlondon Marines just really proving their worth here. There still are 53 of them able to cut down pretty much all of my Greenwich Garrison archers as well as those swordsmen, although to be fair, they did receive help from those Wardens of Tyrion. That always, the BP always really helps. 69 Mythlon Marines there, some Wardens of Tyrion. There go the last of the sharpshooters, getting absolutely flattened by the Noldoran Blade Masters. But you can see we've got a ton of Rangers, or of skirmishers still left over. Ooh. Okay, never mind, actually, sorry. My Dunedain Rangers now beginning to try to fire down on those Noldoran Blade Masters, and oh! Oh no. You can see my Minotaur Roman Guardian just getting absolutely destroyed, just riddled with holes by the... That looked like it was the Blackhawk Engineers, but I can't actually see them, so maybe it was the Wardens of Tyrion, I'm not quite sure. Nevertheless, I've got my cheap infantry rushing in here, just going to try to overwhelm the elves with pure numbers. You can see they're going to be charging into the Mythlon Marines, although here come the Noldoran Blade Masters into the flank of my cheap spears. And the cheap spears are not going to like that at all. They're going to think about routing. And even if they don't route, they're going to get absolutely melted by those very, very elite Noldoran Blade Masters. In fact, their Wardens of Tyrion still firing with their BP, just absolutely destroying so many guys. We got one singular Minuscule Sharpshooter here as well, firing down where he can. You can see Lister is also beginning to push. It looks like the last of his forces around here as well, and I will follow suit with my troops pretty shortly. He's got some Noldoran guards, some Mithlon pikes. Mithlon pikes taking a lot of skirmish fire there. Despite being low formation, they're still going to take a lot of losses. 4 London archers, Harlan on guard, and some pikemen back there as well. And I see him pushing forward here, so I'm going to kind of scooch over my battle line here, trying to get over there and try to be able to face him in a full fight. Over here, though, we've got Miniscrithlin archers. My Miniscrithlin archers are going to be getting charged here by the Noldoran guard. Not going to... the Noldoran guard will probably be able to deal with my Miniscrithlin archers pretty shortly, especially with the help of these 4 London marines. Meanwhile, up here you can see my horde of Grimroach Garrison spearmen here, as well as some Minotaur Roman guardians, trying to do their best here against the Mithlon marines as well as those Noldoran blade masters. Again, like I said, this is my first battle in quite a long time, so I'm going to be blobbing up here pretty badly, which you can see I'm about to be punished for by Lister here for blobbing up. Warren's Velastirian rushing up here, going to be able to get a perfect line of sight here onto my heavily packed Grimroach Garrison spearmen here. And oof, that body piercing is just absolutely nasty. Right in the flank, just taking out so many of my Grimroach Garrison spearmen. There's not really much I can do about it because I don't have anything over here to charge them down at the moment. Blacklock Engineers getting chased by the Hearthguard of Amansul. There's only 21 of the Blacklocks left. I've got my Rangers still constantly firing at those Noldoran Blade Masters, although because of the multiple HP, they're being able to tank that fire pretty easily. Meanwhile, over here you can see me scrambling the last of my forces to try and deal with this push from Lister, although it looks like he's, at the moment, only pushing forward his archers. The last of his pikes are still only back there, and I believe his Noldoran Guard is actually, yes, rushing up over here on this hill with the 4 London Marines. So I'm going to be pushing forward some units over there to try and deal with these Elven units. You can see I've got my Miniscrithlin archers rushing forward here against the Noldoran Guard right now. So you hopefully be able to see a good charge. Yes, a good charge from both sides. Rushing right into each other and beginning to fight to the death. Got some pikes advancing to help out as well as my Von Mountain's trebuchet crew going after these 4 London Marines. Got some more Grimroach Garrison spearmen as well as some more skirmishers back there. Of course, I've got a crap ton of skirmishers. Looks like Lister is pushing forward here with the last of his troops, although with his push here, he's going to be coming in right in range of my crossbows as well as my archers here, so his pikes are going to probably take a lot of casualties from my skirmishers. Up here, these Wardens Velastirians still wreaking havoc. You can see I'm actually pulling back, with my Minotaur Roman Guardians because that is my general's unit. You can see him right there. And over here you can see that my horde of spearmen just got absolutely decimated, absolutely destroyed by the Wardens of Velastirian as well as these Noldoran Blade Masters. Although the constant skirmish fire is starting to take an effect now on the Blade Masters. They're now down to 24. The Mithlon Marines are at 20. You can see he's actually noticed my Rangers now and is actually going to be trying to chase them down here. There goes Lister's general, taken out by the Rangers. Well, my Rangers are pretty shortly here going to be getting charged and cut down by those 18 Noldoran Blade Masters. And over here, it looks like the last of the Blacklocks are actually getting beat down by the Hearthguard of Amansul. Yes, there's only one Blacklock engineer actually who's routing. So that's going to be the end of them. Meanwhile, the Rangers up here are still doing work. And over here, the last push here of Linden is starting to falter a little bit. You can see they're taking a lot of losses. There goes my general. The Linden advance is starting to take a lot of losses here. You can see he's trying to target some of my pikemen here. Yeah, the Mithlon pikemen, the general is dead now. They're getting shot constantly by arrows, so they're thinking about routing already. There's crossbows over here as well, firing into these 4 London pikemen as well as the 4 London archers. My catapult crew is over there doing its thing, I guess. But yeah, truly a very, very chaotic battle. It was a super fun one, too. Over here we got the still 26 Wardens of Velastirian just firing wherever they can. You can see they're actually, once again, firing straight into my blobbed up forces again. Definitely don't want to blob up. Those are definitely bad. That was definitely a bad mistake by me to blob up. I lost a lot of troops because of that. Over here, though, it looks like Von Mountain was able to catch the Wardens of Velastirian with his Hearthguard of Amansul. Wardens of Velastirian are going to go down pretty quickly because of that. And it looks like there are only 11 Mithlon Marines as well as 5 Noldoran Blade Masters left fighting against my Rangers here. And they're going to be able to do pretty well, regardless of their few numbers. But eventually they will be cut down nevertheless. And you can see, I'm sure you can see the outcome of this battle already. You can see I'm advancing with some more of my troops. I've just got so many troops left over Lister is not going to really be able to do too much. You can see a nice pike fight here between the Mithlon pikemen and my Greenwich Garrison's footmen. These Fallen pikemen actually routing in the face of all the skirmish fire and everything else. You can see the Lister only has a few troops remaining. He's only got his archers back here, as well as some scattered troops around the battlefield as well. But that's going to pretty much be it for the attack here from Linden and Erebor. Just a matter of time, really. See, there's only still actually 5 Noldorn Blade Masters left, and there are how many? 7 Mithlon Marines. Although right here you can see Breathlow Trackers just gonna get some nice friendly fire, as well as a few kills here and there, I guess, on the Noldorn Blade Masters, who are actually now wavering. That's going to be the end of that unit. Meanwhile, over here you can see the numbers of Karlin is going to be enough to overwhelm the few remaining Noldorn Guard. And over here you can see just a ton of routing units from Lister. I'm pushing forward here now with some of my remaining troops as well to try and silence his few remaining archers. And that's going to pretty much be it, so I think it'll be safe to basically speed up until the very end. But still a very, very fun battle. Big thank you to Von Mountain for inviting me to sub for one of the players that was not able to make it to this battle for the campaign or RP, whichever team you prefer. But yeah, very, very fun. It was super chaotic, especially like over here and on this hill. This hill was just carnage. This hill was just absolute carnage, just all the way around pretty much. The entire hill was just death everywhere. Very, very fun battle. I actually kind of want to do more battles without Cav, just infantry and archers. I think that'd be kind of fun to do. At least this battle was fun. I'll say that. Speed it up here to the very end. There's still just a few troops remaining. Lister's still got a few Fallen pikemen that came back from routing. I'm going to very shortly here chase them down. And there they go. So that'll be the end of this battle replay. You can see that the most kills for the defending team went to Von Mountain with 1900, Bobo got 1600, I got 1500, although I did have a lot of men remaining. The most kills for the attackers went to Angsvitz with 2300, followed by Lister, followed by Eclipse 2500. We can take a quick look here at the exact kills. My crossbows did very well. You can see 155, 222, and 189. All of my skirmishers actually did pretty good with a few exceptions. My pikemen, you know, they were kind of just there. Same with my cheat spears. My catapult got 60 kills. Dude and Captain only got 58. That's because they had to fight against Noldor Blade Masters. You can see Von Mountain got a lot of kills with his skirmishers, as well as Trebuchet getting 175. Crossbows doing very well. Looks like some of his infantry actually did surprisingly good as well. And Bobo did great as well. Trebuchet getting 160 kills, and Minotaur Roman Guardians getting 136. But yeah, that'll pretty much be the end of this replay, so thank you for watching. If you did enjoy, please comment, like, and subscribe. If you did not, just tell me what I did wrong, and I'll be sure to fix it for the next one. So farewell wherever you fare, till your eyes receive you, at your journey's end.